Welcome back, everyone, to the Bears Trouble Plays YouTube channel. Today is Wednesday, January 29th, and I'm back with some college basketball picks coming right off of that Kansas game. I've got some words. I'm not going to try to get in trouble. But people come to Kansas in my lifetime, in the last 12 years that I can remember, 13, 14 years with Kansas. We don't lose at home. And we didn't lose tonight, but we really should have. We got bailed out by the refs multiple times. UCF should have won that game outright. And the refs did bail us out multiple times. The stadium wasn't into it. The players wasn't into it. KJ Adams came back from injury. He's the only player that showed any heart in this game, any hustle. Dickinson, he got us one on the player prop, but once again, he's ineffective on the defensive side. There are so many times late in that game, under the 4-minute mark, that UCF had offensive rebounds by the smallest player on the court, and Dickinson was just standing under the basket watching. It just pisses me off so much that you're that big, you're that tall, and you can't give me the effort for 40 minutes to go out there and get a rebound over a 6'3" guy who wants it more than you. These Kansas Jayhawks players, I haven't seen this yet, but this is the year that I think my views change on the Jayhawks, and they're gonna be on my bench for the rest of the year. I'm not gonna be able to take them. These players think that they earn something by just putting on the jersey, and there's no effort out there. There's no effort out there besides a few players. Handpick him, KJ, Badunga's playing well. But other than that, Harris, he was out tonight, but Harris does typically play with some emotion. Mayo, Storr, Colt, who else do I want to name? Ryan, not really. Griffin, not much, because I feel like he plays hard. But those three guys, those guards, they need to, Hunter, Dickinson, they need to figure it out. If I have to watch Zeke Mayo miss another 10-footer, another 10-foot push shot, I'm gonna I don't know what I'll do. I don't want to say I'll shoot myself, but I'm almost there. It was horrible basketball tonight for the Kansas Jayhawks. And the only loss that we took was the Jayhawks. Won the game by 4 points, but again, the refs bailed them out. There were so many times in this game that Kansas had their backs turned on the defensive side and UCF had a wide open layup or a wide open three. I haven't seen that in the 14 years. And the reason I like taking the Jayhawks is not just because they're my favorite team. They're 127 and 22 off of losses. The amount of games that I've seen, the amount of seasons I've seen Kansas drop back-to-back games, especially at home, is like 3. So that's why I took the Jayhawks. That's why I was so confident. But now I can see this is a team that just has people who think they're entitled to something, and they haven't won anything yet. And just because they wear Kansas Jayhawks, they think they're going to automatically get win. Things going to go easy against them. And it's just sad to watch, sad and sickening for the Kansas Jayhawks. But we did a 3-1 day. I get off my soapbox here. 3-1 day. The one winner was Kentucky outright. Saul Dennis, one of my members, one of the first-time people on this channel, had him on the show a couple times. Takes Kentucky on the money line. The cojones on you, Dennis. What a win for you. And that game was getting dicey towards the end with the free throw battle, but Kentucky wins the game outright. We had them plus 10.5. They get the win. Hunter Dickinson, like I said, scored. It's not 14.5. It was 17.5 what I got it on FanDuel. I think he had 21 in the game, but again, I would love to see a little bit of effort out of you at the end of the game. Not saying you didn't have effort in the first half, but damn, dude, come on. It's getting out rebounded by 6'3" guy back-to-back times on a tip-in layup. Unbelievable, horrible effort. Jackson Robinson, he hit this in the first half, I think. Over 2.5 was minus 104 on FanDuel, so 2.5 on PrizePicks you should have got if he was out there. But I think he had 4 or 5 threes in this game. Big part of why Kentucky got the upset on the road going up against Tennessee. So 3-1 day, enough talking. Let's move on tomorrow. Felt like I talked forever right there. I apologize for that. But we're going to move on to Xavier going up against Creighton. I got to look at the spreads here. I did make these graphs in the morning. I think Xavier has a decent shot to win this game outright. Creighton hasn't impressed me at all this season, and that's saying something because Creighton has typically built a really good lineup over the last 4 or 5 years. It all started with McDermott. He went on to play for the Pacers, I believe. McDermott, and then from there they've had Cockbrenner. They had Arthur Kaluma, who's now gone, but they have built another really good Ashworth. They've bought themselves into the good program, I should say, but they haven't been playing very well this season. And I only watched a couple Creighton games so far this year. The one game I definitely did watch was against Marquette. They lost that game by 8 points. That was on the road against Marquette. I can't really judge them too much for that game because it's always tough to play on the road in this conference. But I don't know if Creighton is up for the task in this game. I'm going to take Xavier. They're plus 5.5. Good thing I didn't make the final score more than 5. But I do think Xavier's live to win this one outright. Xavier does need a big win They've dropped 3 of the last 6 games in conference. They need to get back on the winning side, and they did that at home in their last game going up against number 19 UConn. UConn has been struggling a little bit this season. I love Dan Hurley, but they have been struggling just a little bit. I think Xavier has the guys to go on the road and win this game. Most importantly, they have leadership and they have maturity. A couple seniors, Zach Freemantle, Ryan Conwell, going to come into this game, play really well. Freemantle coming back from injury. He's playing 38 minutes once again. Never comes off the floor. Same thing with Conwell. They've got the guys to do this on the road. So I'm going to take them plus 5.5 on the road as the play. I don't think it's out of the question to say they win this game outright, but I like them here plus 5.5 as the play. For the second play, Alabama going up against Mississippi State. Once again, give me a second to look up the spread. I do like Alabama in this game just because they score so many points. And Mississippi State this season, they have been a little bit off over the last several games, mainly because they play in the SEC, one of the toughest places to play in college basketball. They've lost 3 of the last 5 games: Tennessee, Kentucky, Auburn. What do those 3 teams have in common at the time that they played them? All 3 of those teams were in the top 10 in the AP poll. So can I judge Mississippi State? Yes. Will I judge Mississippi State? No. I think they're still a really good team, but so is Alabama. Alabama is just as good as Mississippi State, if not better. Alabama also a top 5 team this season in the nation, so I do think Alabama can easily go on the road here and win this game. They are plus 1.5. Plus 1.5. If it was the other way around, I'd be more scared. They're saying Mississippi State has a chance to win this game. They are the favorite in this game. I think Alabama just outscores them, and I am a little bit concerned because Mark Sears did get benched in the last game, and Mark Sears is my guy. He just wasn't playing well going up against LSU, but guess what? Alabama, even with the injuries, even with the benching of Mark Sears, even with him playing, I think it was like 17 minutes, I want to say, maybe less than that, they still won against LSU by 7 points. It's a tough team, not a great team, but a tough team. They've won 3 in a row against Kentucky, Vanderbilt, and LSU. They've got to go on the road here, and this is a very important game for Alabama. They play Mississippi State, Georgia, Arkansas, Texas. They've got to sweep these next 4 because the road ahead is disgusting. They play against Auburn. They play at Missouri. They play Kentucky. They play Mississippi State again. They play at Tennessee. They play at Auburn. They play 7 top 25 teams out of the last 8 games of the season. They've got to build the resume right now. This is a very winnable game for Alabama. I'm going to take them to win this game outright, but give me the 1.5 points just to be safe, plus 1.5 as the play. Let's go talk about some player props for tomorrow. We're going to stay in the same game for tomorrow. Mark Sears, again, I told you I'm a little bit worried that he got benched. I do think he's going to play in this game because it's Mark Sears. He's the leader of this team. I saw an article that in practice, nothing changed. He was just class act kind of guy, got there in practice, worked on it, asked coach what he needed to do. He was working on his shots. He was working on his team chemistry, and I think he's going to start in this game. No reason to sit him out for back-to-back games. He's your best player on the floor, but I do love Mark Sears. He's the ultimate team guy, and I think he's going to be dishing the rock in this game, hopefully to Aiden Holloway. Aiden Holloway was a freshman last year for Auburn. He was supposed to be a standout kind of guy. Didn't really work out for Auburn. Transferred to Alabama, stayed in the conference, and it's a really good thing that he did because Alabama needs a score. They've had a couple players get banged up, and with Mark Sears being out, he lifted them against LSU. He scored 19 points, 5 of 14 shooting, but he did knock down 3 threes, so he was very good at the free throw line, 6 of 6 in the line. He's a knockdown three-point shooter. That's what he was supposed to be at Auburn. Just, again, didn't work out, came to Alabama. Now he's been kind of the go-to guy over the last couple games. 22 points against Vanderbilt, 19 points against LSU. He scored double-digit points in 9 of the last 10 games. I like him here over his total points. I'm thinking I can get it 12.5, maybe 13.5 as the play going up against Mississippi State. Again, only averaging 11.8 on the season, so we'll see what this one comes out at, but I'm hoping we can get it 12.5 as the first play of the day. For the second play of the day, one of the leadership guys for Xavier, Ryan Conwell, the junior, over his total points. I'm hoping 14.5, but I can obviously see this being 16.5. He's averaging 16.1 on the season. Creighton defensively this season, they've been pretty good, so I'm thinking we might get a little bit of discount, kind of like what we saw at Tennessee. Jackson Robinson could have easily been 3.5, got it at 2.5 at minus 107. But I like Ryan Conwell in this game. He had a really bad game going up against UConn, but that's why I like Xavier. They've got the guys. They've got the team. He only had 4 points in that game against UConn. They still won the game by 4 points. So even with Ryan Conwell, one of their best scorers, actually their best scorer this season, they still were able to get a win against a top 25 team. Against St. John's, the game before that, 21 points. They did lose that one in overtime, but this has been a guy who can score 20-plus points on any given night. He scored 19-plus points in 3 of the last 5 games. He is also a knockdown three-point shooter, just like Holloway. So I'm hoping that Conwell gets himself adjusted on the outside, gets himself comfortable on the outside. He can knock down 3 or 4 threes in this game, go way over the total. And I do expect Xavier to make this a game all the way through. So give me his over total points, hoping 14.5, but I can see 16.5 as the play there. Let's go to the recap graphic. We are going to be taking Xavier plus 5.5 going up against Creighton. Alabama plus 1.5 going up against Mississippi State. Ryan Conwell over his total points going up against Creighton. And then Aiden Holloway over his total points again, probably going to be 12.5, 13.5 against Mississippi State as the final play of the day. Guys, it's going to do it for NCAA basketball picks and props for Wednesday, January 29th slated games. If you guys enjoyed the content, please drop a like on this video and subscribe down below. See you guys next video, and thanks for watching.